Join me as I dive into the fierce life of a Viking warrior and try to survive a day living like one. There's something undeniably captivating about Viking warriors, their fearless raids, their unyielding ferocity, and their unwavering dedication to their comrades and communities. For centuries, their legend has endured, inspiring countless stories, poems, and works of art. But what was it really like to be a Viking warrior? To live by the sword, to fight for survival, and to forge a legend that would last for eternity? Life as a Viking warrior was not for the faint of heart. They faced some of the harshest living conditions imaginable: sub-zero temperatures, treacherous landscapes, and the constant threat of attack from rival clans and ferocious beasts. And yet, they thrived in this environment, driven by a primal urge to protect their families, their lands, and their way of life. They knew no borders, no boundaries, and no mercy, only the unrelenting pursuit of glory, resources, and adventure. It's easy to romanticize their exploits, but the reality was far from glamorous. Viking warriors were often forced to fight on multiple fronts, battling against fierce enemies, rival clans, and even the unforgiving forces of nature. They had to be resourceful, cunning, and ruthless, prepared to do whatever it took to emerge victorious. And yet, despite the brutal nature of their existence, they remained a tightly knit community, bound together by their shared values and their unshakable loyalty to one another. Their daily lives were a constant struggle for survival, marked by endless battles, grueling training sessions, and the constant quest for food, shelter, and security. They were expert craftsmen, skilled traders, and master navigators, always seeking new ways to improve their lot and expand their influence. And at the heart of it all was their fierce warrior spirit, a burning desire to prove themselves, to earn their place in the annals of Viking history, and to leave their mark on the world. A Viking warrior's training was a grueling, never-ending process, designed to push them to the very limits of human endurance. They honed their combat skills, mastering the art of swordplay, archery, and hand-to-hand combat. They learned to wield the mighty Ulfberht sword, its razor-sharp blade capable of slicing through steel and shattering bone. They donned their armor, a mesh of leather, steel, and chainmail that protected them from the ravages of battle. And they studied the ancient strategies of their forebears, applying them to the ever-changing landscape of war. One of the most famous battles in Viking history is the raid on Lindisfarne, a brutal assault on a remote monastery off the coast of Northumbria. It was 793 AD, and the Vikings were on the warpath, driven by a desire for plunder, glory, and revenge. The monks, caught off guard, were slaughtered or taken captive, their treasures pillaged and their sacred relics desecrated. It was a defining moment in Viking history, marking the beginning of a new era of raids, conquests, and cultural exchange. The bravery and tactics of the Viking warriors involved in the Battle of Edington are still studied by historians and military strategists today. It was a brutal conflict, marked by savage fighting, cunning ambushes, and sheer unadulterated ferocity. The Vikings fought with a ferocity that bordered on madness, driven by a primal urge to triumph and a deep-seated hatred of their enemies. And yet, despite the carnage, they remained a disciplined force, bound together by their shared values and their unwavering loyalty to their chieftains and comrades. In the end, it was this very ferocity, this unyielding dedication to their way of life, that allowed the Viking warriors to leave their indelible mark on history and culture. They may have been brutal, they may have been ruthless, but they were also visionaries, pioneers, and heroes in their own right.